Behind the Shades.
Welcome to another episode of Behind the Shades. It's your host, Terraine, and we have a fantastic interview. This is part two to my dissection of the Johnathan Majors interview with ABC. And this is for the women out there because part one was for the men. And to the women out there, I want to share that you're going to find yourselves often in a relationship where you're changing for your man, where you're feeling the need to be everything that he wants you to be. And there's going to be many times you're going to find yourself falling short of that. And you will lose yourself trying to be the type of person that this person wants you to be, that this man wants you to be. You want to be his queen. I am woman, hear me roar, in numbers too large to ignore. That's who you want to be. But here's a question that I have for the women out there as we reflect on what happened between Majors and his then girlfriend. Are you up to the task of being the type of women you want to be that's going to attract the success that you want? For example, when he mentioned that he wanted her to be like Coretta King Scott and Michelle Obama, can you be your version of that that's going to get you the relationship that you want? Do you know how to let yourself be vulnerable enough to be loved, to be taken care of, to show your softer side? There's many women out there that have this very tough exterior because of what they've gone through. They've dated boys masquerading around as men. They've dated people who have lied to them. They've dated people who have misled them. But most importantly, you know what's happened? Many women have dated men that have allowed themselves to be misled. They thought this person was the one, and they ignored that red flag, and everything else in front of them. They were focused on that one green flag that they thought in the beginning trumped everything else until they started dating that person. Then it didn't matter. It's like the type of person that says, you know what, Terraine? I only date men of this specific background. And they will date men of that background that are homeless, uneducated, and don't even have $5 to their name. They will go to restaurants where you can wear sweatpants, flip-flops, and you don't even need a reservation. Heck, the guy shows up and he has stains on his shirt from the last date that he was on. But you don't want to ask those questions because you're like, well, he's here with me today. This is what you have to ask yourself. And when I look at what happened in that situation with Majors and his then girlfriend, is that these were two people who were toxic for each other because they were toxic individually. They weren't the type of people that should be in relationships at that point in time. They needed some healing. She wasn't ready to be what he wanted, and he wasn't able to provide the type of situation that she wanted. And I get that from the conversations, because if violence is an option in your relationship, you shouldn't be together. If chasing after each other is an option in your relationship publicly, you shouldn't be together. Relationships that are toxic will put you in a situation where you're going to lose yourself. And I think that's what a lot of women go through. Women are nurturing by nature. They're caring. They oftentimes put the other person ahead of themselves, which could lead to dependency on that person. There's many women out there, despite popular belief, that when a relationship ends, yes, they may get their kids if there's kids involved. They may get the spousal support, the child support, but a lot of them are worse off emotionally, mentally, and sometimes physically. You hear about the men moving on and finding someone else, but oftentimes you don't hear that for the women. Johnathan Majors is already in a relationship. We don't know her. We don't know the status of the ex. But is she likely to get someone of his caliber again? Probably not. Can he get someone better? Probably he will. And that's the reality that women have to understand when they get into relationships that they know ahead of time isn't for them. If you've had a conversation with the man that you're looking to date or to be with, and he doesn't fit your criteria, and you're not able to be on his agenda, don't waste your time. Money is not that important. Height isn't that important. 6 inches isn't that important. It's just something that makes you a prisoner of your preference. You need to let it go and be realistic. Can you be what he wants you to be? But better yet, do you want to become this type of woman for the man that you want? Are you good enough? Are you brave enough? Are you strong enough? If the answers are no to any of those, you need to reevaluate the situation. It is one thing to blame the other person, but anytime a relationship breaks down, both people are at fault. And that is something that each and every one of us has to accept. Look beyond what is on the surface. Look at yourself and say, I wasn't ready to become that type of woman. I wasn't ready to become a wife at that moment. Just because you're not ready today doesn't mean you're not going to be ready tomorrow. But you have to start with having honest, transparent conversations within yourself.